there's no way that Ukraine is going to join NATO in the foreseeable future, and probably not ever. And two of the very key reasons are, which frankly, Jens Stoltenberg in his announcement of it, we're so-called fast-tracking it, still specified that they would not be invited in until conditions have been met and our allies agree to do it. Well, two of the key conditions, non-negotiable conditions, are that all of your internal ethnic disputes have to be resolved, and all of your border disputes have to be resolved. Well, Ukraine has effectively been fighting a civil war within its country since 2014, and all the events since February of 2022 have only heightened that, and obviously issues with the border are not exactly secure. So the conditions that are necessary can't be met unless there is a complete peace agreement settled between the two, and all those things are settled, which I can't even foresee for many, many years to come. So on the surface of it, I think it's just like saying, hey, we don't want to make you mad right now. We're not going to just say no, but we're not going to say yes either. So it kind of basically nothing has changed since before Zelensky showed up.
Now, what about the comments of the UK Defence Secretary? Because, the UK has been at the forefront of providing weapons to Ukraine. As far as I can see, President Zelensky and his colleagues have always shown incredible gratitude to Britain and other countries for the weapons that have been supplied. Do you think Ben Wallace was speaking out of turn here? Because the Prime Minister certainly seems to have rowed back on his comments.
Well, I think that he's expressing what I think a lot in the West are experiencing, especially in recent days. Look, everybody's under a lot of stress. There was some reports that President Biden himself was very irritated with some of the things Zelensky says about a couple of months ago. He didn't say them out loud in public, but he did give some public statements that implied that he was not happy. And I think Ben Wallace did here especially because in the lead up to this event, a number of sources have reported that Zelensky has been told by several high-ranking NATO officials not to show up at this event that's supposed to show unity and come in and complaining about not getting an invitation because it's not going to happen. And Zelensky was aware of this, but then he made those fairly incendiary comments about it's absurd to not be given a timeline and it's illogical not to, and that they're doing the work for NATO. And I think that Ben Wallace finally said that, enough of that, because as you pointed out, other than the United States, nobody besides Britain has been their biggest supporter and defender and provider of weapons. And it's fine to say you're grateful for it, but when you also say those other things, implying that all of that is not enough, I think that Ben Wallace just finally had a little bit too much frustration in it, and it slipped out a little bit.